Howdy! Welcome back to another Dead by Daylight video. Today I kind of just wanted to spitball some ideas that I had. Honestly, some of these are as simple as like what cosmetics I think they should have for prestige items, and some are just complete killer concepts. Some are buffs to like killers that I think could use a buff, but honestly I'm just kind of spitballing whatever like is on my mind. I just thought it'd be a fun video to make. So firstly, I made this concept a while ago, probably a year ago now, but it's just a magician. I think the idea of a magician killer would be really cool. So this is the power, it should be on screen right now. Power, hairy situation, the magician pulls a rabbit out of their hat and can either place on the floor, causing any survivor within a 10-meter range to be shown to the killer with killer instinct until the survivor scares the rabbit away. Very similar to Victor, so they've already got the coding for it. I think that'd be really cool. Or you can use the rabbit in chase. Throw it at a survivor, causing the survivor to receive 3 skill checks. If any are failed, the survivor is put into the injured state. If the survivor is already injured, they are instead put into mending. If successful in all 3 skill checks, nothing happens. I just think we need a killer whose power can cause injuries, but also is interactive to the survivor. So if you're skilled enough, you can just like ignore it pretty much, but not without consequence. Because imagine you're in the middle of a really intense loop, the killer's just about caught up to you. You get hit with this, you miss a skill check, and then immediately get 2-tapped by the killer. I feel like that's pretty fun and intense, and very different from anything we already have in the game right now. Honestly, this all came up because I thought the Mori concept for this killer would be really cool. As you see here, he snaps, the survivor appears inside of the saw table, the magic trick that normally happens, the survivor gets cut in half, and then the magician covers the box with the survivor body in it with a cape, and then it goes away. And then he does a bow, and that's it. I just thought that would be a really cool Mori. I also made up some perks for him. Funny enough, this one right here, Spotlight, the same concept pretty much. I mean, it was pretty much inevitable that eventually a killer would get a perk that allows the survivor to see, that allows the killer to see the aura of any survivors looking at them for a short period of time. In a game like Dead by Daylight, pretty much inevitable. But I think it's really funny how accurate the numbers are. Like I'm literally 1 second off, and then the screaming feature as well. That's different from the the Spring Trap perk. I think it's like Phantom something. I don't remember, but it's literally the same thing. They just scream and then show the aura for 2 seconds. Mine was literally just any survivor, any survivors within the terror radius, have the aura revealed to you. Oh no, it's just look at you. So from like anywhere, you don't even have to be in the terror radius. Just like if you can see the killer can see you. Pretty much object of obsession, but just for killer. Hex crowd work, when 4, 3, 2 or more survivors are within 12 meters of you, they become exposed for 8, 9, 10 seconds. I feel like that one is a lot like Starstruck, but way more focused on combating protection hits while you're carrying a survivor. Because when the survivors group up like that, it gets really frustrating, or even if just somebody happens to be too close to you waiting for a flashlight save. I also feel like that'd be fun because it's really small. 12 meters is crazy small. Like, for a while I was like, oh, 12 meters is like so far, but it's like, that's pretty small. And then seeing is believing, spawn 3 fake chests that are fully interactable, but when the chest is opened, it disappears. And then the killer gets a notification when they start and stop opening the chest. The killer will be able to see that they're different, but they'll have like full collision and everything. I just feel like a meme perk like that, because most people aren't going to run that, right? But if you're playing during like, let's say right now we have the anniversary event going on. Someone brings this perk, right? You would get the points for the thing, but then you just don't get an item at the end. I feel like that would be really funny. Just a fun, silly little thing to interact with. Up next, I have a concept. I've been talking about this with my friend Ross for a long, long time. It's basically just like a fighter. It's called the Bruiser. I think having like a fighter killer in DBD would be really cool. The main skin would basically just be like an old-timey boxer, because I feel like that'd be really cool. And then another one I was thinking about would be a legendary skin for the killer, where basically it's all the same attacks, except like kicking, because I know there's a lot of like fighting styles that involve a lot of kicking, so I feel like that'd be really cool. So basically the power for the Bruiser would be a KO punch that charges up after landing basic attacks. You can push M2 to essentially just like Wesker dash, demo dash, whatever. Same thing, but it insta downs, but you have to get like 5 M1 hits before that. And when it's fully charged, the survivors will hear a bell noise, like the one that they play when they start a boxing match, the ding ding. I feel like that'd be fun, silly, a little bit. Secondary power brick break. After breaking 2 pallets, the killer can break a pallet by pressing control in half the time. So instead of like the however long it takes to break a pallet, you get a really short pallet break. Just because the KO punch, it's such a it would take so long to charge that up in a regular match. Because if you don't take too long to charge it up, then it just wouldn't be fun to play against. I know insta-downs are already pretty controversial and not crazy fun to play against, but at least this way you kind of know what's happening and the killer gets stuck in like a long lunge animation. You can kind of predict if they're from too far. Inevitably, you'll always get stuff like the back rev Billy, and I'm sure people would play this pretty similarly, but when you go up against somebody that does it like the way that would be fun, like I feel like it would be super fun. And the part that I've been thinking about the most, and I think would be genuinely the most fun part about playing against this killer, 4 lockers are chosen at random and have gloves or given hooks that carry boxing gloves on them. Survivors can use the boxing gloves to punch the bruiser, causing them to be stunned for 2 seconds. While holding the gloves, the survivor becomes incapacitated. So the idea is you just get a mobile pallet, because nothing is more fun as survivor than stunning the killer. Very similarly to the killer attacks, the survivors would be kind of like stuck and going in that one direction, but it'd be really fast. So unless the killer has like crazy reaction time and like smash you before you release the attack or whatever, like you're gonna stun the killer. I'd say about 90% of the time you're stunning that killer if they get too close. And the reason right now the idea is have it become incapacitated is because if you don't, then survivors will just sit on gens with boxing gloves and then stun you, like the second you get too close. And that would just be like really not fun and boring. The first perk we came up with, Duck and Weave, grants the killer the ability to ignore a pallet stun by pressing or holding Q. While holding Q, movement speed is reduced by 10%. Bad on Nurse, obviously. You're already slower than survivors on Nurse, so Nurse wouldn't be able to like use and abuse this perk. This perk is built with M1 killers in mind, because we have plenty of perks that work great on Blight, Nurse, Wesker, and we need more perks that would be better on the average killer. Hex fixed match. When not working on a generator or in chase not in chase for 30, 20, 10 seconds, become oblivious. It's just trying to incentivize people to do gens. If you're not doing a gen, game's gonna get a lot scarier. I feel like at its core, Dead by Daylight's a horror game. A lot of people play with like reshade. Me personally, I just have my brightness up kind of high, but I just like to be able to see everything. I know a lot of people also just like to be able to see everything, so I get it, but I feel like getting rid of the terror radius is like truly one of the only ways to make a lot of killers scary. And by having the survivor become oblivious instead of just directly taking away the killer's terror radius makes it better, because certain killers do certain things. Like, Chucky. When Chucky becomes undetectable, they start laughing, which really takes away from the stealthiness of being undetectable. And I get why. Chucky would be crazy broken if you were that small and undetectable at the same time. But also, at the end of the day, it's a horror game. You're supposed to get scared. Let Chucky be a little bit undetectable with Oblivious. Last perk, Black Eye. When stunned or blinded by a survivor, all survivors become inflicted with a blindness status effect. It'll be maybe 10, 20 seconds. Nothing crazy. Blindness just hides auras, so it wouldn't even be that crazy of a perk. Nothing insane, Just like a fun little silly build. Or a silly perk, my bad. And the Mori would be an uppercut that knocks the head off the survivor. If you have that other legendary skin, they can kick the head off the survivor. I don't know. That's too much of an idea. I don't know. I don't think that much. But that's it for my killer ideas. Next is a thing. I'm just going to touch on it real quick because people are always talking about it. I heard somebody have a take that I thought was really, really good, and I've never heard anybody have this take before. Everybody's heard the take of give Dredge lockers as a killer item, so that when Dredge spawns in, lockers spawn one locker next to every generator, so that Dredge can have better map control because of how map dependent Dredge is. I mean, if you get Haddonfield and there's a center gen, you're never going to be able to defend that center gen as Dredge, because you can either go upstairs in main building, downstairs in House of Pain, or second floor of the other two buildings, or to the side of the map, or the sides of the middle of the map, and that's it. That's all you can do on Haddonfield. I hear something about Shelter Woods is bad for Dredge. I don't play Dredge that much anymore, so I don't really know. But just a base kit buff of letting Dredge have lockers as a killer power would be amazing. And then I also heard, the only person I've ever heard say this, was saying something about do the same thing for Trickster and Huntress. I'm not sure if they really need a buff like that, to be honest with you. I'm not good at Survivor. I will start this off by saying I'm not good at Survivor. But I've never went against a Huntress or a Trickster that needed more lockers. So there's that. Maybe it would be a good quality of life change for Huntress or Trickster players. Maybe it would be bad. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, I just thought that'd be a good thing to bring up because I feel like that's an interesting idea. Last thing, prestige cosmetics. Okay, we all know the basic prestige cosmetic. Character gets covered in blood. You get the torso, the bottoms, and the head for Survivor, and then you get the weapon, the body, and the head for Killer. Cool, great idea. Worked amazing for the 3 prestige system. My idea, we get rid of that completely. Completely get rid of the blood covered clothes. Instead, when you hit prestige 10, you get a new layer, a 4th layer of cosmetic that goes over any other head, torso, and bottom piece cosmetic that you've earned, or that you have equipped, rather. And the first one you get at prestige 10 is the blood. So you would get the blood for the torso, the bottoms, and then the head, and it just goes as a layer over whatever cosmetic you're wearing. If, for example, let's say the bloody cosmetic for the head, right, and the character has a hat on, they don't normally have a hat on, you could just remove that part of the bloody cosmetic, and they would be coated in a way so that if the bloody cosmetic part would overlap and look funky, they would just take it off, because they already have the coating in the game for it. It was the Halloween event. I don't remember what it's called. Let me look it up real quick. Okay, it was the Haunted by Daylight event. Any cosmetic you wore into the event area would immediately be covered in what was essentially the same exact layout as like the bloody spots or the the legacy cosmetics, but it was blue and glowing and it looked really cool. So I'm thinking prestige 10, you get the normal blood red. Prestige 20, 30, 40s, yada yada yada, up until 90 you get just different colors, right? Just a bunch of different colors, because that would be really cool. Prestige 100, you get the glowing effect, and it would be, you could apply it to any color. Obviously they couldn't do the same color as legacy cosmetics, or actually I have a workaround personally that I think would work, where they just take the legacy cosmetics and just, instead of using the same layout as the bloodied cosmetics, they can just flip them around. That way we can have the same color as the legacy cosmetics, but on any piece of cosmetic collection, you know? That way, no matter what outfit you're wearing, you can still have like the prestige looking or the legacy looking cosmetics, and the legacy players would still have their own thing because they would be able to have theirs reversed. And for the final part of this video, I want to bring up the fact that when they added Houndmaster, they talked about how they've changed the coding for every new killer going forward, including Houndmaster, that they will be able to change the power, the killer power, and the way it looks. So that way they can give it a new model. For example, in that one Houndmaster legendary skin, you can change the dog, and the dog is the power, so it changes. The same idea could be said for something like Victor, right? Like eventually if they want to recode twins, which they need to, we would be able to get something like Victor with a little hat on, because we know and we need Victor with a little hat on. We need that. But if they ever go back and recode Legion, I think Legion would be the perfect character to give a zombie skin to. They could have like a Jane Doe and John Doe zombie skin that comes with its own Mori legendary skin, and instead of your basic M1 attack, it's your hand. And they could even maybe change up the effects so that the survivors start looking sicker. I don't know, that's probably way too much for a legendary skin to ask, but you know, it's definitely an idea to throw out there. Legion would literally be the perfect killer to implement just a regular zombie skin on, because their attack is literally just a hit and run, and that's it. And the Mori could just be them eating the brain or something, I don't know. But I've been thinking about that for a long time, and hearing them say that when they added Houndmaster they would change the coding so that the killer powers can be changed to models made me really excited, because I immediately thought about that idea. Because having like a basic zombie killer right now is pretty much not impossible, but very, very, very unlikely, because we already have Nemesis, and Nemesis has zombies, so we kind of